Welcome to the Cross the Line Podcast. My name is Carlos Smith, and we are here at the Ice House Comedy Club in Pasadena, California. Here with me right now, we have comedian Miss Jenn Madden. Jenn, how are you?
I'm good.
So you just finished your set not too long ago.
Yes.
How did it feel, getting that response from the crowd? And
Oh my goodness. I mean, I'm always a little bit nervous before shows. Like, no matter how many shows I do, whether it's 50 people or 100 people, 150 people, I'm always a little bit nervous. But, like, I went out there, rocked it, had a great set. And, I feel great. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
We walked in on y'all in the green room by accident. We didn't know where to go in that moment. But, does that kind of help break the ice, being in the room with the other female comedians, like, leading up to your show?
Absolutely. I think that the green room is a place where we can kind of get to know each other a little bit better and share our energies with each other before we go on stage.
Have you done any shows with any of the other comedians that went?
No, I actually just moved. I'm just moved from Chicago to New York. And so I don't, a lot of them are from LA, and so I have never done a show with anybody. Everybody's all new to me.
Okay, that's crazy. We just, on my flight here today, I was actually in Chicago just for like
nice.
Just for a quick second.
Nice.
That's all I need because I don't like cold weather.
Yeah.
So you live in New York right now at
Yes.
this moment?
Yes, I just moved to Harlem from the south side of Chicago.
Okay. Did you feel like, was that a necessary move as far as like being a comedian was to go to New York?
As somebody that wants to take it serious, yes. Chicago is like a mecca. I mean, you can think of so many people that come from Chicago that have made names for themselves. But a lot of them have also had to branch out to major markets or bigger markets such as New York and stuff like that. One of the things that I wanted to really focus on for this year was to sharpen up my set. And so by New York being such a big mecca, there's so many boroughs. So you got Queens, you got Brooklyn, you got the Bronx, you got all of these different areas that have so many mics going on. You can sometimes get maybe 2-3 mics in a day if you really, want to. So that was something that I wanted to really like focus on, was just like sharpening up my my writing skills and being able to hit more rooms in a day. And so you can't really do that in a city like Chicago.
How long have you actually been doing
I'm in my 5th year.
In your 5th year?
Yes, I'm in my 5th year.
Do you remember what your like that first show was like for you? Like,
oh yeah, oh man, the nerves, and even the jokes back then. Like, I think about some of the jokes that I wrote 5 years ago. I would never tell those jokes now, but at that time I thought they were so funny. But it just goes to show the growth, like how as you evolve as a writer, your ideas develop into bigger themes or like different themes and stuff like that. So it's just like, man, like this when I was 1 year, then I had this joke when I was 2 years, and this one I was 3 years, and to see like how like now I'm navigating spaces in a different way, and it's just like, it's really awesome to see that, because I look at tape from like year one and then look at tape from like now, and I'm just so much more comfortable.
That's actually kind of like when I first started. Well, I officially started doing the podcast, traveling and doing interviews with entrepreneurs about 5 years ago when I first started.
Okay.
But I never forget, like just a little bit before that, when I first started like recording myself talking, like I didn't have any cameras or anything. I just sat down and I showed that yesterday, because we're making a nice little project we're gonna put together.
Okay.
And it just showing like where I started at to where I am now, and I was like, same thing you saying. Like, I hated the way I sound. I hated just the questions and stuff that I was saying. I'm like, what was I even thinking? Saying this type of stuff. But everything that I've ever recorded, it's online even to this day, because like you said, you can hear that growth from when you first started to where you are now.
Yes.
So for you, when you really getting ready to get serious about comedy, like, did you consult with anybody about it, or did you just kind of like hold that dream to yourself?
Yeah, I kind of just went out on a limb and said, you know what, New York is a major market. There's a lot of writing opportunities, a lot of television networks, a lot of different networks where I can submit writing samples and packages to. So if I want to take it seriously, I needed to take that gamble. I bet on myself, and I didn't consult with nobody. I just decided to do it.
So were you always like a creative, even growing up? Were you just like writing or telling jokes or anything like that? So that was always something that you did?
Yeah, like I was class clown in high school. So I was like always naturally silly. And I was just getting out of the military, and I had come back home, and one of my homies was unintentionally by watching like the Kevin Harts, the Richard Pryors, the Eddie Murphys and stuff like that. But I never thought that I would be able like to do like get on stage and do it myself. And so I went to an open mic or whatever, and the first night I went, like I wouldn't say I bombed, but like I didn't kill, but it was like a nice little mixture of like laugh and awkward silence to the point where it was like there's something there, and I wanna get better at this. So every week I just kept going to that same mic every week until I got better and I got better and I got better and started getting comfortable with it.
We just had Tammy T up here, Tammy T Love up here, and she said the same thing about she was in the military and then she got into comedy as well. How does that transition happen? Because it seems like when you're in the military, you know, I'm not saying that you can't enjoy yourself or anything like that, but it seems like just the military, you know, it's strict about, you know, following the rules, being disciplined and everything. And it seems like it's all buttoned up. But then to transition to comedy, it's like you just have to, you know, let your hair down and have fun and laugh. So how is that transition?
I love it personally because like being in the military was not for me. Like I did my 4 years, I got my honorable discharge and I was, you know, satisfied with it, but I wasn't happy. Like now I can honestly say I'm happy. Like I get to do something where I can be myself. I can be silly. I can be goofy. I can bring whatever ideas that I want to the forefront, and nobody's gonna challenge me on it because this is my craft. And so I enjoyed the transition. Like I'm actually really glad that like I didn't stay in.
Was that something like an expectation that like your family and friends or somebody may have had for you? Was like maybe going to the military or working a traditional 9 to 5 or something that's why you weren't happy at the time?
No, my family has just been like, do whatever makes you happy. You know, when I decided to go into the military, nobody understood it. And a lot of them were like, what? Like, why? But nobody like challenged me on it or anything. They supported it, and when I got out and decided to do comedy, they were like, hey, you know, like we support you. So my family has been like pretty supportive of like my decision.
How important is that to you know have that support from family to, you know, to encourage you? Because, you know, a lot of times we talk to me, Tammy T, we talk about it as well. Sometimes family they may have wanted to do, and along their journey, put those expectations on you. So how important is that, you know, for family to encourage you?
For me, it's very important because I'm very family oriented, and like I love my family. So it's like there's a part of me, even though I don't ask for permission, there's a part of me that always wants their love and acceptance. And so whenever they have a chance to come out to a show or something like that, like I'm always excited about it because family is everything to me.
It is. You know, I've been, you know, at times hesitant, you know, well, I tell my family what I'm doing, but at times certain family members, at times I'm a little bit hesitant just because I love them and I look up to them so much, and I know they wouldn't do it to me, but, you know, if I were to tell what I'm doing and pursue my dream now, it would kind of rub me the wrong way. Our family fully supports me, and I think I had my great sign 2 years ago. Once they saw everything that I was doing, bringing things to business standpoint, I think they will find out, okay, and now I understand what he's doing. Even though I don't fully see his vision, like we're gonna stand behind him and, you know, support him no matter what. So it's definitely important if you have that, you know, stability and have the family to support you. Are they? So your family still back in Chicago right now?
Yeah, everybody's still in Chicago. Yeah.
Who would you say? I know you mentioned Richard Pryor and Kevin Hart, but like, do you remember when you first got exposed to comedy?
Exposed in what way?
As far as like just seeing a comedian, like for me.
Yeah, I used to sneak and stay up late and watch Kevin Hart when he was hosting Comedy View at night. Like, cause like I grew up in a real religious household, so we wasn't really allowed to watch like BET, VH1, and stuff like that. It's like we weren't really able to like watch that. So sometimes I would sneak and like stay up late and like watch Comic View and just watch like D.L. Hughley and Patrice O'Neal and like people like that and be like, yo, like this is inappropriate, but it's funny.
So you were never judged by anybody, like outside of family? You were never judged because the household that you grew up in when you were doing comedy, you were never judged by anybody?
No, I wouldn't say I was judged. And even now, like with my jokes, like touch on different topics. Like my family, they don't judge me. They'll give me the space to speak freely.
Do you think overall women comedians are just held to a different standard than everybody else?
Absolutely. There's a definite pressure to be funny. I think that there's a lot of pressure as a female comic to be a lot funnier than the average comic, especially by being a male-dominated industry, for sure.
Is it a little bit easier in a sense of like when you're doing a show with just strictly all female comedians? Does that make the show a little bit easier as opposed to being men and women? Because,
that's a good question.
Because fans now, because they know if they come to a show, it's only going to be women here, so they already know what to expect in a sense. Even though your joke's going to be different, but as opposed to being men and women, do you think it's a little bit harder that way?
I don't think it's a difference. I think it's more supportive. You can feel more support and more energy when it's all women line up. But I don't really notice a huge difference.
How important is it to grab their attention early?
Oh, it's very important. It's very important because that icebreaker can hit and miss. It can be what reels them in and start to like you, or it can be what makes them say, we want the next comedian. So it's very important.
What are some goals that you have? I have a few more questions. What are some goals that you have, going into the next year and beyond that?
Yeah, absolutely. So what I'm working on for 2024 is getting a clean set. So a lot of people been reaching out for different festivals and different like comedy clubs in like Philly, Delaware, DC, and stuff like that. And so working on a like clean 15 to 30 minute set. Working
when you say
on
clean, is just like no.
Yeah, like no cursing,
okay.
Like just clean. Yeah.
Okay. And is that something that's normal for comedians? Like you have to have like a clean set?
If you want to do like television slides or like there's like churches, you can do church shows if you do clean.
Okay.
You can do like some primetime spots. They may say like, oh, we want to have a clean show. So it's good to just have it in your pocket.
Being on stage, being able to say what
yes,
you want to say.
I prefer to talk my shit.
Yeah. There you go. I like that.
I prefer to, but I also understand that if I'm gonna be able to one day be able to do the the Lettermans and the Jimmy Fallons and the stuff like that, like you're gonna have to have a clean set. So,
do you have ambitions of like potentially doing like a TV show?
Yes.
And stuff like that as well?
Yes.
Okay.
Like I definitely am trying to put together like a writer's room, trying to get some other female comics and because I have ideas of a comedy TV sitcom that I want to do that's loosely based off my life by me being a veteran and my mom is deaf and stuff like that. So I was like, I have very unique experiences that I don't feel like have been told on television just yet. Like you kind of get the same stories all often. So I think that my story is a little unique. So I'm just trying to put together a writer's room right now, get a couple of comics together and see what we can come up with. And
are you at the point in your career where you're willing to be like very vulnerable and open about your personal life as well on stage?
Absolutely.
Because it seems like that is an important part of being a comedian.
Absolutely.
Being able to laugh at yourself, even though you're going through things just like anybody else. It feels like it's more relatable when you can talk about yourself as well.
Absolutely. Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
My final two questions for you. What advice would you have for people that even if they don't want to be a comedian, maybe they want to pursue their dreams, but they may be afraid to step out on faith, like you were willing to take that chance of going from Chicago to New York and not worrying about what anybody else had to say. What advice would you have for those people that were looking to pursue their dreams?
Don't do it if you don't love it. Like, just be passionate about what you're doing, and that passion will follow you. Don't be so quick to try to be seen or heard immediately. Like, just hone your craft and perfect your craft, and everything else is gonna flow. Like, I literally, like, with this festival, like, it was just, I put myself out there. I was like, I know there's gonna be other comics from all over the country that submits for it, but I'm gonna submit for it. So it's like what's meant for you is gonna happen. Like, it's for you. Your lane is gonna create itself. So don't worry about trying to be like anybody else, trying to go by anybody else's path. Just like, as long as you're passionate about it and you have goals in mind and you're pursuing those goals, like, it'll all work itself out.
That made me think of something else. Do you ever get caught up on, or just look at what other comedians are doing at times, or maybe saying this person has this many followers and they're going here? Do you ever get caught up in that at times? Because it's human to see like other people's success. Not saying that you envy them. It seems like it made me happy.
I think I'm at that point now in my career, like in my fifth year in. I know like a lot of bookers and stuff like that. Especially I noticed like in New York, a lot of these bookers go off that, and sometimes they may or may not take the chance of bringing you on board if you can't do what they call like bringer shows, which is like bring a certain amount of people or fill up a certain amount of seats or something like that. So I think that there is a pressure now that is challenging me to get more active on social media. But I personally feel like my brand is the stand up.
And I don't even feel like they should be the end all be all as far as like how many followers you have. Yes, you have a great following, but to everybody's comedy is going to be a totally different.
Yes.
So just because you don't have millions of followers, that doesn't mean that you're not funny.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? At the end of the day.
Right.
So hopefully, that's not the end all be all. But of course, they're going to look at the numbers in certain situations.
Yes.
As well.
Yes.
But my final question as we get ready to wrap this up, Jen. The question I love to ask everybody at the end when we travel across the country interviewing entrepreneurs and athletes is, what does self-investment mean to you?
Oh man, it means everything. Because investing in myself is gonna get me to where I want to be. So whether it's been taking classes at Second City or taking personal risks and professional risks, it's all growing and molding me into being more comfortable on stage and being more comfortable as a comedian and as an artist and as a woman entrepreneur. So I think it's everything.
Absolutely. Self-investment is the best investment.
Yeah.
Jen, thank you again for your time.
Thank you.
I really enjoyed this conversation. Before we get out here, can you please tell everybody how to find you online?
Yes, you can find me on Instagram at comedian Jenn Madden. That's comedian COMEDIAN JENNMADDEN. And yeah, that's how you can find me. You can also find me on Facebook at Jennifer Madden, but I'm barely on Facebook. I'm mostly on Instagram. Yeah.
So hopefully you guys enjoyed this episode of the Cross the Line podcast here at the Ice House Comedy Club in Pasadena, California. So till next time, keep chasing dreams. Thank you for listening.
Thank you.